Good evening and thank you for joining us. Obviously that was a huge win for the Bobcats last night. They were down 2-0 in that series and managed to battle back, win 3 straight and win that series. But reality setting in today, that deadline has come and gone, I guess, this afternoon, Carly, that 1 p.m. deadline for someone to come forward and buy the team. And I guess the question is, are the Bobcats staying?
You know what, Jacob? I wish it was really that simple, if it's just a matter of this team staying or going, but it's a little bit more complicated than that at this point. That 1 p.m. deadline has now come and gone. So we know that there was no individual who stepped up and solicited an offer to the city, but that doesn't mean that the team is on its way out of town. What that does mean is that now the city is actually going to be playing a role in actually soliciting offers. And what has happened, because none of the taxpayers have stepped up to keep the team that they did spend some of their tax dollars actually keeping here. What has happened now is that we've got this new plan. There are 800 season seats being made available. The price of those is $250 each. And the other side of it is to keep the team afloat and to cover the cost of the $500,000 purchase price. The city has said if 100 shareholders step up and make a purchase at $5,000 each, that will cover the $5,000 purchase price, and the 800 season seats valued at $250 each will be used to keep the team afloat for a year. So for the time being, we're moving into a community-driven, a group ownership style of ownership here in town.
So I guess moving from a strictly private ownership to more of a group deal.
That's right. That's exactly what we're looking at. And if we talk about a deadline here as far as when and how quickly people have to act, as we mentioned, the March 4th deadline today has passed, but there is now a new deadline that we're tentatively working with, which is Friday, March the 25th. It might actually be bumped up sooner than that. So if you are interested in becoming a vested shareholder at that $5,000 price, or perhaps purchasing a season seat to that $250 denomination, you will have up until or around March 25th. So the bottom line is you have to act sooner rather than later.
So, I mean, this is a pretty big left turn for what we were expecting the course of this, purchase to go. So what if people out there have like questions, concerns, comments, what if they're wondering about how they can play a role in this deal?
Well, fortunately, we're going to have a very special edition of The Gloves Are Off coming up on Tuesday. Mayor Mulligan will be present for that, as well as Coach Curran. So if you are a taxpayer and you do have a vested interest in this team and keeping this hockey team a part of the community, please send us your questions or your comments. You can email us at theglovesareoff@newcap.ca or check out our group page there on Facebook at facebook.com/theglovesareoff. This is a situation that we are learning more about every minute. And once again, send us your questions or your comments or get in touch with the Bobcats office if you are interested in either a season seat or a shareholder position.
All right. Thank you, Carly. Elk Point RCMP are investigating a missing person from the Frog Lake First Nation. Police say 22-year-old Daniel Moocheweines was last seen during the early morning hours of February 26th as he was leaving a friend's residence. He was reported missing by family members on February 27th when he did not return home. Family and community members say they haven't seen or heard from him since that time. Moocheweines is an Aboriginal man with short black hair and brown eyes. He's 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighs 160 pounds. He had on dark colored clothing when last seen and typically wears a black toque or bandana. Elk Point RCMP say if anyone has information about Moocheweines' whereabouts, they should contact the detachment at the number listed there on your screen. 2 Waseca men are being charged after RCMP dismantled a grow operation in the hamlet earlier this week. On March 2nd, Maidstone RCMP, with the help of RCMP in North Battleford and Meadow Lake, seized 26 marijuana plants and other drugs from a residence. 47-year-old Brian Nelson and 63-year-old William Fritz are facing numerous charges, including production and possession of controlled substances. RCMP would like anyone with additional drug-related information in the case to contact them to aid in the investigation. Saskatchewan has implemented a major change to health service. The new legislation will provide people with faster and easier access to prescription drugs. Jack Haskins has that story.
As of March 4th, the province's pharmacists will have more authority when it comes to refilling prescriptions and providing emergency supplies of prescribed medications.
I know in Lloyd it's a problem because there's a lot of shortage of physicians. So if you're out of refills, for example, you can just come into the pharmacy and we can be there to provide it. So I think it's a really good thing for Saskatchewan.
However, not every pharmacist will have the authority to provide these services. An extensive course has to be completed before being able to take on the expanded role.
It's just making sure that we're capable of making the prescribing decisions and just enforcing the need for collaborative care with physicians.
Government officials say the new health initiative is targeted towards putting the patient's needs first.
The way it is now, for certain circumstances, you could just go to your pharmacist and they could give you either an emergency or a renewal on a prescription that would, I guess, take the pressure off the emergency room.
Pharmacists will be working even more closely with doctors than ever before. The goal of the program is not only to fill prescriptions faster, but make sure that the drugs are going in the right hands.
Government officials are hoping that the new prescribing authority will be a success. Jack Haskins, Newcap News.
Well, it's time for the little ones to take over the big stage at the Vic Juba Community Theatre as they perform in The Mayor of Hamlin. Well, that story and more coming up after the break.